is charged with 31 counts of crimes against humanity and war crimes.
Her term as chief prosecutor at the ICC ended in June after 9 years. Before that, as deputy prosecutor in charge of prosecutions, a job that often placed her as a counterpoint to some of the most powerful people and countries in the world.
For many of us as young human rights defenders at the time, seeing Nelson Mandela, His Excellency Nelson Mandela, as an icon, as one of the most respected international civil servants or civil rights icons in the world. It's not just in Africa, but in the world.
How does or can the rule... We sought to better understand the connection between the rule of law and sustainable and cohesive societies from her perspective.
To have sustainable development, we have to have stable societies. We have to have stable societies that there is justice. There are efforts that are being made to promote human rights, and rule of law is respected. It is not a cliche when we say there is no peace without justice. It is not a cliche. I believe strongly that for societies to remain stable, we must respect at every cost the rule of law, and we must ensure that justice is always present in whatever we do.
A case in point, the recent incarceration of former President Jacob Zuma and her take on whether the rule of law in this case contributed to the strengthening and stability of South African society.
I bring it back to this. We cannot allow our citizens to have a mistrust. I think part of it was that, a mistrust in the institutions that we have built, a mistrust at democratic governance by the government in place. And part of what has happened in South Africa at the time, of course, there are many, many other issues, including the lockdown, the COVID, and we've seen that happen in other societies as well. But here, again, we must come back to building strong institutions. We must come back to creating that trust that citizens will have in the institutions that we put in place. We must ensure that those institutions are fair, they are impartial, they are about justice, and they are about respecting the rule of law.
And as scenes of chaos and despair played out in Afghanistan due to the Taliban's resurgence and the US withdrawal, we asked her to weigh in after the appeals court of the ICC affirmed the prosecutor's jurisdiction in 2020 to investigate alleged crimes against humanity by various stakeholders there. Actions for which she and colleagues were sanctioned by the administration of former President Donald Trump.
What was important to show was the fact that the ICC first had jurisdiction, which I believe now the judges have confirmed that. And also that when these crimes occur, these very, very serious crimes of war crimes, crimes against humanity, when they happen and ICC has jurisdiction, ICC must conduct that work. And as I always say, to do so without fear or favor. And for me, this was a very good example of showing that it is not about, for instance, ICC just going after Africa or ICC. It is just about where our jurisdiction takes us, that is where we go.
Bensouda follows luminaries like former US President Barack Obama, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, and former Liberian President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf in delivering the Mandela Lecture. Bryce-Pease, SABC News, New York.